Good morning, and welcome to day 44 of F260 at First Baptist Meridian. Today we look at Leviticus chapters 6 and 7, but because Leviticus is so foreign to several people, I just wanted to talk a little bit about Leviticus in general before I put these specific chapters in context, especially since we're not reading many chapters from Leviticus in our reading plan. So even the name Leviticus, very often in our English Bibles, the titles of Old Testament books are different than they are in the Jewish scriptures, known as the Tanakh. In the Jewish Bible, especially in these first 5 books of the Bible, the title often comes from the first words in Hebrew. So the first word and the title of Leviticus in the Hebrew Bible is Vayikra, and he called. The first words, Leviticus 1:1, are, "And he called unto Moses, and the Lord spoke unto him from the tent of meeting." And that's what sets the context for the entire book of Leviticus. At the end of Exodus, God descends the mountain, and his glory comes to dwell in the midst of his people, in the tabernacle, in the tent of meeting. So now he's no longer speaking to Moses on top of a mountain. Now he's speaking to Moses from inside the camp of Israel. And the first thing that he establishes once he's in the camp is the sacrificial system. Again, as we said yesterday, sacrifice is not the requirement for an unholy people to come to a holy God. Sacrifice is their response when the holy God comes to them. And that's why the details are so important as to how the sacrifices are offered, what type of sacrifices are offered. And if you read the opening chapters of Leviticus, essentially 1 through 5, really chapter 1 through chapter 6, verse 7, it outlines 5 different types of general sacrifices in addition to the special occasions, the high holy days. One is the whole burnt offering. One is the cereal or grain offering, which is also called a goodwill offering. One is the fellowship or peace offering. It's an offering of thanksgiving, sometimes associated with the completion of a vow. One is the sin offering for specific and unintentional sins. And one is the guilt or trespass offerings for sins requiring some type of restitution or recompense. Notice again, the title of the book, Leviticus. Why is it so different from the Hebrew? Because it's capturing who the focal targets of the focal subjects of the book of Leviticus are. After the golden calf incident, when the Levites, the people from the tribe of Levi, were the ones who responded to Moses' call in chapter 32, the priestly ministry on behalf of the nation, which represents the nation's ministry to the entire world, was entrusted to the tribe of Levi, the Levites. Hence, the book is Leviticus. And what's so significant about our chapters today, 6 and 7, is again, the first 5.5 chapters of Leviticus is God speaking to Moses, words that Moses is to entrust to all the Israelites. You see, in the opening verses, God spoke these words to Moses and said, "Speak these words to the nation as a whole," to the Israelites. When you get to chapter 6, verse 8 through chapter 7, verse 38, those same 5 sacrifices that we discussed just a few minutes earlier are reiterated with some different details and some extra details, because this time it's just what Moses is going to pass on specifically to the Levites. So it's almost like an onion. Israel has this ministry to the whole world, but even within Israel, there is a representative, a smaller number representative that is entrusted with a ministry on behalf of Israel. And how is this laying the case for the gospel? Because eventually there will be even a smaller representative. There will be a Messiah to be the great once and for all high priest, to perform that priestly ministry once and for all, and offering the greatest sacrifice, not just for the priests of Israel, but also for Israel as a whole, and ultimately for the sins of the whole world. So we're seeing this concept that we've talked about in recent days. The closer you get in proximity to God, represented in this instance by the tent of meeting, the more the details matter, because the more the holiness needs to be taken seriously. What's so interesting is in the chapters right after this, in chapters 8 and 9, you have the consecration and ordination of the priest. And then you have a tragedy in Leviticus chapter 10, as Nadab and Abihu, despite all the instructions that they've been giving, offer strange fire to the Lord. They don't take the details seriously. And because of that, they are consumed. They die in the act of offering sacrifice. Because the closer you get, the more the details matter, the more you have to take God's holiness seriously. So thank God, our hope is ultimately in a great high priest, Jesus Christ, who stands at the Father's side and gets his holiness exactly right. Not on behalf of his sin, because he didn't have any, but on behalf of ours, so that he offers the once and for all perfect sacrifice to any who would call upon his name to be saved. That's the hope of the gospel, and that's where Leviticus, the big picture to where Leviticus is pointing. So keep reading, keep reflecting, and keep responding to God's word, and I'll see you tomorrow. God bless you.